What's up everybody, Jackson here, and recently I was able to play 9 hours of Breath of the Wild, and today I kind of want to just talk about my experience with the game and explain that after 9 hours I walked away with no intention or desire to ever step back to this game. Now, I want to get started first and foremost on the weapon system, because I think that was a lot of people's problems, at least the people's reviews and things that I listened to or read. A lot of people had a problem with the weapon system. I didn't give a shit. I felt like with the enemy encampments, so in the open world of Zelda Breath of the Wild, if you haven't played this, there are Ubisoft camps. I'll just call them Ubisoft camps, because there's also Ubisoft towers, but we'll be getting to that later. But these Ubisoft camps, you take out these enemies, every enemy in the camp will drop a weapon for you to use. And at the end of clearing the area, a chest is unlocked, so you can open the chest as a reward for killing the bandits in the bandit camp. You're able to get a weapon. So I felt like out of the chest, you're able to get a weapon out of the chest. So I felt like with the weapons breaking constantly, I felt like they were recycled quickly enough through fighting people and opening chests that it didn't matter. And that's the point, is why it's a dumb thing for me personally, in my opinion. What bothered me about it is that it really didn't matter. It was just something put there because reasons. I can't comprehend the reasoning behind that. And I didn't get the Master Sword in the 9 hours I spent playing it. But my brother was telling me that after you get the Master Sword, even then you have to fucking recharge it, right? Even after you've used the you've acquired the Master Sword, gone through the arduous steps to obtain that fucking Master Sword, it also degrades, and you have to put it in your backpack, and in a minute you can use it again. It's nonsensical. It wasn't a big problem for me. I felt like I always had a weapon that suited the situation I was in, except for the random enemies spread across the map that are one-shots that you can't do any damage to. But once again, we'll get to that in a minute. So my problem with this breakable weapon system is it felt fucking pointless, right? It just felt pointless. So I was indifferent towards it until I realized how pointless it actually was. And I was like, why is this something I'm having to do? Like, pause combat, equip a new weapon because that one broke, or pick up this weapon off of the enemy I just killed and it'll equip itself so then I can fight. I don't know. It didn't add anything. It didn't take anything away. But if it would have taken something away if I had the Master Sword, because that's fucking ridiculous. It's the fucking Master Sword. It should not run out of charges and be forced to be thrown in Link's backpack so it can recover its strength. It's not a sentient fucking being, alright? It's a fucking Master Sword! Holy shit! Alright? So, let's get into what really bothered me about Zelda Breath of the Wild, and why I think it is a very poorly designed game, with a lot of bad decisions involved. The stamina bar. The stamina bar in Zelda Breath of the Wild, if you haven't played it, exists for one purpose and one purpose only. And I'd love to hear someone argue with me in the comments. Someone who loves Breath of the Wild, and that's fine. Like, I'm not going to take that away from you. If it's your cup of tea, I'm just going to explain objectively that the stamina bar exists just to slow you down. You, the player, slow you down from running, slow you down from climbing, slow you down from swimming, slow you down from gliding. Has no effect on combat. Now, in a game like Dark Souls, where the stamina bar can be used for sprinting, it's never really feels like you can't sprint for that length of time where it makes a difference. A, because of the way the world is built, you know, there's encounter and then a little bit of a space and then an encounter. And if you're running through, you hit a point where your stamina bar has drained, but it refills quickly. Because Dark Souls is designed in a way where the stamina bar is being taken into account as well, that the player's going to need it for combat. In Zelda Breath of the Wild, the stamina bar has zero impact on anything but movement. Okay? So in the beginning, as I was playing it, I was okay with it. That's why I was able to make it 9 hours. It took me 9 hours to realize how fucking stupid this stamina system is. Okay? But long before the 9 hours, I was noticing that I hated its positioning on the screen. I hated how it was like, it was an annoying thing, okay? But in my eyes, the way I'm looking at it is, I'm justifying it to myself as maybe this is a lead, Okay, now let me explain that. I mean, it's probably got a more technical term if you're into game design and things like that. But this is just my dumbass explaining it the way I understand it. In a massive open world RPG where the player is free to go anywhere, right? What you need to do is you need to have a little bit of a lead. Something to lead the player in the direction that's, you know, the appropriate course for their current level, items, gear, armor, whatever, right? So like for example, Witcher 3. In Witcher 3, you wander in a direction, you go fucking anywhere in, you know, and as it opens up. So once you hit Velen, you can go straight to Novigrad if you wanted. There's a way for you to get in there. If you want, you can go all over Velen, you know what I mean, until you open Skellige. Then when you get to Skellige, you go anywhere. So how does this massive open world lead the player in the correct direction? Well, aside from the main quests that they're giving you that are going to send you, you know, at level appropriate places, you know, and help you get your skills you need to progress further and take on the harder enemies, there's also enemy level. So you run into an enemy at level 7 and he's level 15 and it's either red or even better, a skull. Telling you, like, don't fuck with this character. He's way over your level. You're not supposed to be here. Come back to this place later. Take a note. Come back here later. Do this later. You know what I mean? And they do that amazingly through the map system with the question marks that show you the place that then in turn gray out once you've finished doing that area. So that's how The Witcher 3 would lead you. Dark Souls 1. The way Dark Souls 1 would lead you is in the beginning, you can go in several directions, right? You go down to New Londo Ruins, you can go into the Catacombs, you can go to the Undead Parish. If you have the key, you can go straight to Blighttown, all the way down to the Great Hollow, right? Tons of fucking places you can go from the jump if you pick the correct starting gift. It numbers in the fucking 6 or 7, right? Different areas you can go. But the game wants you to go to Undead Parish. So how does From Software accomplish this? Well, they put enemies in your path in the other way that are really hard and ridiculous to kill, right? So if you're going into the Catacombs, it's going to take you 4 or 5 hits, maybe more, to kill that skeleton with the starting weapon. Then once you get into the Catacombs, it'll take you 5 more hits to kill one down there, and then it's going to immediately respawn because you don't know, you're unaware that there's a special mob down there who's bringing it back to life, who you have to kill in order to stop the skeletons from regenerating. That's the lead right there. You're right there from the start. You're like, okay, fuck this way. This way isn't the way. You go to New Londo Ruins, and whether or not you find the transient curse and equip it or not, doesn't matter, because those enemies are still with a starter weapon. Even if you do equip that first transient curse that you find in the barrel, even if you find that on the body, get that, equip it, use it, it's still going to take you 3-4 hits to kill these ghosts that are unlike anything else in the beginning of the game, which to a new player are going to throw you, right? So that's leading you right the fuck back out of there. If you go to Blighttown, you're running into giants with maces. They're like going to fucking one-shot your fucking starting health pool and take several hits to kill, right? If you go to Undead Parish, 1 or 2 hits, all enemies die. You're like, okay, this is the way, right? This is the way. So in my mind, with the Zelda Breath of the Wild, the stamina bar, I was thinking this is a lead for me. Okay, this is going to be preventing me from climbing plateaus or, you know, going somewhere where I could get one shot by an enemy or run into an enemy that I have no way of fucking controlling how I kill them. But then immediately I start running into enemies after I leave the starting zone, which is this little plateau you have to do the shrines for, which was frustrating in and of itself because 2 of the shrines that I'm supposed to do are up on a mountain in snow. And I'm like, I haven't been given an opportunity to survive cold weather yet, as far as I was aware, right? Because I didn't understand that I had to go pick a pepper and cook it in order to get a little, like, fucking timer that would allow me to fucking survive in the frozen wasteland, right? I'm thinking this is like a Zelda game. Okay, so at some point, I'm going to get snow gear, I'm going to get blue armor, and that's going to allow me to survive in the cold, right? That's what I'm thinking in my head, because I'm thinking it's a fucking Zelda game. Okay, so I'm thinking that this stamina bar is there to lead me in the right direction. So I explore this old plateau, finally I cave in, I give up, and I look online, how the fuck do I get into cold areas and survive? Because those are the only 2 shrines that I can see right now, that I can go to right now. Is the ones that are in the cold area. You have to, this is how you do this. You either have to get peppers and cook a pepper mill that will give you a timer buff that will allow you to survive in the cold, because that makes sense, right? I suppose it wouldn't make sense just having a blue set of armor fucking would make you, But either way, you either have to do that or you have to happen upon a cottage in the woods. Go inside the cottage. And I'm talking this starting area was pretty big. This was some fucking cryptic bullshit. Alright? Now I know it's a Zelda game and cryptic bullshit is kind of the fucking, word of the day. But at the same time, I felt like other Zelda games did a better job of, obviously not the very, very first one, but I feel like with the second one, they had it figured out enough that they were dropping enough leads for the player to lead them in the correct way, the correct direction, the things that they need to do. If the player was observant enough to talk to NPCs, go, make sure they can explore everywhere they can explore, right? The lead was there. It led you in the right direction. Zelda Breath of the Wild doesn't do that at all. You gotta find a cottage in the middle of the woods. You gotta go in there, read this fucking stranger's notebook, and see that he had the perfect recipe for fucking cold winter food. And that if he could fucking remember what the missing ingredient was, he'll be able to, help that person by giving them his frozen halberd that will allow them to survive in the cold. Okay? So I'm thinking, wow. Once I looked that up, because I didn't find that organically, right? I got a fucking lot of shit to do. I don't have time to be sitting down in a game and play cryptic shit, alright? That has horrible leads. Because that's the main thing. Is like, it's just, that's such a bad lead. There was nothing indicating that I should go there. Nothing indicating that I should enter that place. Nothing indicating that once I read that, right, that I would understand what the missing ingredient even was. Because that's the thing about Zelda Breath of the Wild. On top of the bullshit stamina bar, which I'm not fucking finished with yet, is there's this ridiculous cooking system that appears to have way too much time, thought, and effort put into something that's just there to give the player buffs. Like, way too much time and energy. So in order to cook in Zelda Breath of the Wild, you don't open a menu, add ingredients, press a button, and have fucking, the product of your crafting. No, that's too simple. That's too dumb, right? What you have to do is you have to go into your ingredients menu, then tag whatever you wish to cook. You have to tag it as hold. Then it will appear in Link's arms, right? You add up to 5 ingredients, I think, something like that. You have to be standing near a fireplace. Not just a fireplace with a cooking bowl over it. You then manually select drop items, and then you drop them into the bowl, and then a song plays. And Link sits there and dances, and the food dances in the bowl, and then like 15, 20 seconds later, you have a fucking goddamn food buff. Wow. Holy shit. Like, that was so frustrating to me. And then finding out later that those buffs don't stack was fucking beyond infuriating. If it takes me 15 seconds to craft each one of these fucking meals, then they should goddamn stack. No fucking excuse why they don't. No, same as the stamina bar, right? So, back to that. The stamina bar I put up with during those 9 hours of frustration, of looking at this game and being like, I'm literally gonna have to have a guide if I want to play this game fast. Otherwise, this game's gonna let me wander in this giant fucking world with no idea of what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to survive these encounters. And the worst part about it is they've developed a system that's in place specifically to slow me down, to make sure I don't climb too fast, to make sure I don't, run too fast, to make sure that I'm slowed down. That's what it does, okay? Because it's not a fucking lead. Because in that 9 hours, I ran into not only 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 enemies that I couldn't fucking even touch, right? I can't even remember. The final breaking point was the goddamn lizard, the lightning salamandos. So stupid, okay? This enemy does an AoE bubble around him, which one-shots Link, or if it doesn't one-shot you because you've eaten the buff that gives you extra hearts, it'll fucking make Link drop his weapon, so you can't even fight him. And then you're like, what the hell? How do I survive this? It's such a huge area around this enemy, and it's fast, right? But I was able to climb to where he was without getting a single upgrade to my stamina bar. Without increasing my stamina bar at all. I was able to find that enemy, and have no idea how to handle him until I Googled the fucking problem and found that I needed to go find rubber underwear in some crazy fucking out there weird ass fucking way. Just like with the frozen clothes, I gotta cook this recipe, but I gotta know that I gotta put this specific ingredient in it, which isn't listed, which isn't told to the player. Then, after I make that meal, I gotta know that I gotta go back to that cabin and give it to that fucking guy, and then he'll give me clothes that will allow me to do the first task in the fucking game. Wow! So that, in summation, I feel like this stamina bar is the dumbest fucking game mechanic ever put into any game. And I would love to hear an argument on the contrary, because I've talked to my little brother Ty about this. I've talked to my buddy Trevor about this. Both of them love the game, enjoyed the game a lot, right? But they both say, you're right. You're right. Like, there's no reason for this stamina bar to be there. It could be gone. They put in Ubisoft fucking watchtowers that reveal the map, okay? So instead of just climbing these things fast like we've all done before, because these sorts of fucking things have been put in games that everyone has played. Capture zone, it reveals the area of the map. Pretty standard shit. Even more so when it's copied exactly from Assassin's Creed, where it's a long-ass climb up the fucking tower. But what does Zelda do, right? Assassin's Creed came out how many years ago? And they said, well, if we're going to make them do this task, let's not slow them down on it. Let them get it done as fast as they can. Don't hold them back. Let them climb up this fucking wall, get up there, check off this point, open the map so they can see. Just let them do it. What's the harm in just letting them do it fast, since we're going to make them do it like 20 fucking times? Why would we slow that down? Zelda Breath of the Wild says, no. That's a good idea. Let's make it as annoying and arduous a task as we can by limiting how far they can climb, so they have to stop on little steps and let their stamina bar refill, so then they can climb a little bit farther to get slowed down to get to the top of this thing and do the same fucking goddamn thing they've done in every Far Cry game they've ever played, in every fucking Assassin's Creed game they've ever played. Lately, Horizon Zero Dawn did it. It's like, holy fuck. And Horizon Zero Dawn, a way of doing it, was so much better. It's just like, go do it. And not only that, they add a twist to it where it's like a roaming creature. You know what I mean? But, you know, this game, with all the fucking good things I saw about it and all the negativity towards people who was critiquing it that I saw, it astounds me that this game has been held up as it is. Called a 10 out of 10 by some, 9 out of 10 by others, right? That stamina bar and the cooking system alone, put it at a 4 out of 10, skip this game unless you fucking love Zelda. And in that case, have fun. Because I hear that when you hit Zora, you hit, like, you know, all the different tribes and all the people that you need to get these big, you know, mechanical fucking animals, because it's Horizon Zero Link. When you get all of those, you can, you know, send those at Ganon, and then it's easier to beat Ganon. I hear it's a pretty fun journey. I hear there's some pretty cool shit that happens, right? But for me alone, it's too hard to deal with all of these just annoyances. Like, oh, fuck, I have to cook again. Let's listen to the jig and sit by the campfire for fucking 15 minutes. 15 minutes crafting mills with buffs that don't stack, right? So that I can increase my stamina bar so I can run a fucking, you know, 5 feet further next time I run. So I can climb 2 inches higher than the last time I climbed. So I can fucking float 2 seconds longer than I did the last time I floated. So I can swim across this river as Link in a Zelda game and actually swim. What? So, those are my thoughts on Zelda Breath of the Wild. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry if it was a little fucking angry, but that was honestly, genuinely as close as I could get to recreating my experience in those 9 hours of trying to play this game. And during it, I'm feeling like, come on, man, like, there's got to be something more here. Like, this, you know, this can't just to be annoying. Like, this is something more. And no, it wasn't. Like, the stamina bar was there to slow you fucking down. And I just, like, why are you slowing me down? Why? Like, what the fuck? Anyway, everybody, fucking love you. Till next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and always remember the stamina bar in Zelda Breath of the Wild is fucking pointless.